I still remember the sound of the door slamming behind me, my husband's voice, sharp and final, echoing in my chest. Get out! Don't come back until you've learned some respect. Respect. That word cut deeper than the cold air outside. Respect for what? For lies? For his son's poisonous whispers? For the boy he swore was just misunderstood, but who was the root of every crack in our marriage? That night, standing on the curb with my suitcase, I made a vow. I would not cry. Not for him, not for the home I built, not for the betrayal of a man too blind to see the truth. I met him 10 years ago, when trust still meant something to me. He was solid, dependable, a widower raising a son alone. I admired the strength it must have taken. I poured myself into their lives, trying to stitch something whole out of their grief. For years, I convinced myself we were happy. But happiness has a way of hiding rot, and that rot had a name: Ethan, his son. At first, Ethan tolerated me. Cold politeness, short answers. I thought time would thaw him. Instead, time sharpened him. He knew exactly when to plant doubts, when to smirk at my husband in ways that made me look guilty. A missing receipt, a fabricated text, a look held just a second too long with a stranger at the grocery store. And my husband, whom I trusted with every part of me, listened to him, believed him. The night he threw me out, Ethan was standing at the top of the stairs, a shadow with a grin. He watched as his father exiled me, and I swear I saw victory in his eyes. That was the night I stopped being their victim. In the weeks that followed, I disappeared. Not into despair, but into planning. I moved in silence, like smoke curling under a door. My husband thought I'd come crawling back, broken, apologetic. Ethan thought he'd won. Neither knew the woman they had pushed out. I hired a lawyer. I traced accounts, assets, every thread of financial fabric we'd woven together. I kept receipts, emails, proof of every sacrifice I'd made for that house, that marriage. And I built my case quietly, meticulously, while their household festered in false triumph. 3 weeks later, he called me. His voice was calmer this time, smug even. "Have you reflected? Are you ready to come home?" I almost laughed. I told him yes, I was ready to see him. He thought it was reconciliation. It was Judgment Day. When I walked back into that house, I wasn't the broken woman he'd cast out. I was ice. Controlled, calculated. Ethan lounged on the sofa, that same smirk painted on his face, certain I was about to beg. Instead, I pulled out the envelope. Thick, heavy, legal. I placed it on the table between us. "Divorce papers," I said simply. The silence that followed was delicious. My husband's jaw slackened. Ethan sat up straighter, the color draining from his face. For the first time, he lost control. This is a mistake," my husband stammered. "No," I said, my voice steady. "The mistake was believing lies over love. The mistake was letting your son destroy what we had. And now the mistake is yours to live with." Ethan exploded first. "What the hell is this? You can't just—" I cut him off with a look so cold it froze him mid-sentence. For years, I'd given him patience, kindness, silence. That night, I gave him the truth. "You wanted me gone, Ethan. Congratulations. I'm gone. But I'm taking half of everything with me. The house, the accounts, the security you thought you had locked under your father's name, it's mine now too." His mask cracked. He swore, shouted, cursed, but I barely heard him. I watched my husband, the man who once called me his anchor. He looked smaller now, powerless. And for the first time, he saw the cost of his blindness. I left them with the paper still trembling in his hands. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. Their silence followed me out the door, heavier than the slam that once cast me into the street. Now I sit here reflecting, not on my failures, but on my strength. He asked me if I'd reflected, and I have. I reflected on how trust can be weaponized, how lies can masquerade as truth, and how silence, when wielded carefully, can be the sharpest blade. I didn't scream, I didn't fight, I simply vanished, prepared and returned with precision. Not my husband, not his son, not their chaos. My life, my peace, my victory. And as for Ethan, he'll have to live with the knowledge that his little game didn't just drive me out, it destroyed the only stability he had left. Poetic justice, delivered quietly. Because in the end, I didn't need revenge to be loud. I only needed it to be final.